the rhetoric from these nations, but they're not really doing anything to push this through the Security Council.
All right, Scott, leave it there for the time being. That's the latest from the United Nations in New York, and that's just about it from Washington for now. We're going to expect something from Hillary Clinton at some point in the coming hour or so, and also from President Obama himself in the next 24 hours at some point. But for the time being, it's back to you, Taimur, in Doha.
Nick, thanks very much indeed. A very fluid situation, obviously, on the international scene. Let's also fill you in on some of the other developments that have been taking place over the course of the past 24 hours or so. Now, on Wednesday, the African Union came out with its statement condemning, quote, the disproportionate use of force against civilians in Libya. It expressed regret at the loss of life there. We've had news that a Libyan plane carrying Colonel Gaddafi's daughter was turned away from Malta after it tried to land without permission. A Libyan army commander has told AlJazeera that an Air Force pilot refused orders to bomb the city of Benghazi, choosing instead to eject from his plane. And we've also had plenty of comment on the social media sites. Let's head over to Imran Khan on the web desk for the latest on that. Imran.
Thanks, Taimur. Well, the web is a wonderful source of opinion and information, but a lot of it is simply context-free. Well, here on the web desk, we cut through the fog to try and give you an accurate a picture as possible. Now, what's happening in Libya is extraordinary. Libyans are getting around the crackdown by speaking to friends and family outside of the country and getting information out that way. To the micro-blogging site Twitter next to hear examples of that. Now, since the uprising began, we've been getting reports that Gaddafi's regime is recruiting mercenaries in neighbouring countries to fight the protesters. One tweeter said, reports of demonstrations in Egyptian city of Marsa Matruh against Gaddafi's attempts to recruit mercenaries from the area. And this from one of Libya's borders. It's unclear which one. Dual citizens not being allowed to leave Libya, having both passports confiscated. Well, people might be facing difficulty getting out, but one tweet says, entering Libya now, greeted by army who have all joined revolution. Man checking our passports is an Air Force Major General. Another blogger has posted this. Now, we're being told that any anti-Gaddafi signs are being cleaned by security. Well, this still picture seems to confirm that. Now, a Libyan girl who we've been speaking to from outside the country has set up her own YouTube channel. She's posting footage from family members. Now, this one's interesting, as it appears to show a Chinook helicopter over what we're told is Jamhuriya Street in the capital. Now, others have reported that mercenaries have been using these helicopters to move about the capital. And staying with Jamhuriya Street, Tripoli, the footage was posted today. Now, it appears to show the aftermath of clashes in the capital. Everything we've seen so far points to a very heavy crackdown on the protesters. Now, given the problems of getting footage out from Libya, AlJazeera has made an appeal on several sites for people to send us images directly to our Your Media site. Here's one we received a few hours ago from a guy who told us it was shot while he and his friends were on their way to Green Square when hidden shooters started firing on people. Now, keep up to date with the very latest on our live blog, which is updated every few minutes throughout the day. AlJazeera.net/English is the place to be. There's video, reporting, opinion, analysis from some of the best in the business, both inside and outside of Libya. The web desk needs you guys to stay involved. So much of what we have been reporting, comes from you.
Imran, thanks very much indeed. Now let's take a look at some stories away from Libya for a moment. At least 4 people have been injured after a fire broke out in Egypt's Interior Ministry in Cairo. Rescue teams rushed to the building, which houses criminal records and other personal files. The blaze is thought to have started after around 1,000 former policemen gathered outside. The group reportedly set fire to several cars parked outside of the ministry. And Egypt's new cabinet has been meeting for the first time on Wednesday. Security and food provision reportedly on the agenda, but they may have additional opposition to contend with when the military rulers hand over power in 6 months' time. A group of pro-democracy activists has announced they will be forming a new political party. Now, human rights groups in Algeria are pushing for more change after the government lifted the state of emergency. The Algerian Human Rights League says scrapping the 20-year measure is positive but not enough. The government is hoping to appease the demonstrators, who are still protesting weekly in the capital, Algiers. The cabinet's also approved measures aimed at reducing unemployment. Saudi Arabia's King Abdullah has promised $10.7 billion in pay rises, job creation schemes and leniency on loans. The King made the announcement as he returned home after having spent 3 months abroad receiving medical treatment. Now, the new development fund is being set up to help struggling Saudis buy homes, get married and start businesses. In Greece, another general strike has ended in violence in the capital, Athens. 5 people were injured, another 20 detained after demonstrators clashed with police. More than 30,000 people attended the rallies to protest against government austerity cuts. Sonia Gallego reports.
An eruption of fury, a country at a standstill. Greece's capital, Athens, once again the scene of violent clashes. Protesters going head-to-head with police in the latest rally against sweeping economic reforms. The deep resentment felt by workers, already feeling the pressure from the crippling austerity measures, show no signs of abating. Nor has Greece's recession. Unemployment has risen to nearly 15%, hitting the country's youth especially hard. 1 in 3 are currently without a job. And those working in the state sector face reduced wages and more job losses for several years to come, a result of the cuts aimed at reducing Greece's mountain of debt.
The measures must be dropped right now. Our lives can't go on like this. Otherwise, we'll see the same thing that's happened in Tunisia and Libya.
We don't believe the measures are necessary. We're not responsible for the crisis, and we shouldn't pay a penny out of our own pockets for it.
In a deal with the European Union and International Monetary Fund last May, a $150 billion bailout was secured to stop Greece's descent into bankruptcy. Since then, workers have protested in droves, calling nationwide strikes and demonstrations. The country virtually paralyzed as public transport ground to a halt. Vital health services affected as hospitals reduced their facilities. In a show of sympathy, thousands of small businesses and more middle-class groups have joined the strikes in more numbers than before. And with the strain stronger than ever, the government is under pressure to tackle widespread tax evasion. But for now, that won't stop Greece's economy from shrinking this year, which will make the current unrest a more common sight. Sonia Gallego, AlJazeera.
New Zealand's Prime Minister John Key says he expects the death toll from the country's latest earthquake to rise again. We know so far at least 75 people were killed when Christchurch was hit on Tuesday. Hundreds more people are still missing. Andrew Thomas reports.
The rescue efforts continue, but with each passing hour, hopes fade. Here, where there stood a 6-storey building containing a TV station and a language school, now just smouldering rubble. There's no chance any more people can be pulled alive from here. Between 50 and 80 were inside when it fell. Elsewhere, though, there is still a faint chance more survivors can be found. At one city centre office block, a woman was pulled alive from the rubble after more than 25 hours trapped. This dramatic footage, filmed on Tuesday, shows the conditions under which rescuers are working. Dark, dangerous, but the result here, a life saved. Al Jazeera has obtained new footage of the moment the earthquake hit a Christian